Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Mapped by Murder. Today, we say goodbye to mainland China and make our way to Pakistan. This is the case of Javed Iqbal. The year of Javed's birth is unknown, but it is believed to be between 1957 and 1961 in Lahore, Pakistan. He is the son to successful trader and multimillionaire Muhammad Ali Mughal, who ensured that his son had a very good education from Islamia High School. Javed also had a very good upbringing, and this case will show you that not all serial killers have to have had a traumatic childhood to become monsters. The early years of Javed's life are wrapped in mystery, so there is not much that can be said with certainty during this part of his life. His life only really became documented from the time that he left high school, so let's start from there. After graduating from Islamia High School, he moved into a villa that his father had bought in Shadba. He lived a lavish lifestyle, often showing off his father's money. His father set up a steel casting business from the villa that funded Javed's lifestyle. Whilst living there were several allegations made over the years that Javed had sexually abused and sodomized children between the ages of 6 and 16. There were also allegations dating back from when Javed was in his teens. But due to his father's success and influence within Lahore city, these claims were quietly handled and disappeared. Over the years, Javed's parents begged and pleaded that he lead a normal life and leave this life of deviancy behind. Pakistan has the cultural practice of arranged marriage, and he would agree to get married as long as he could choose his own bride, to which his parents agreed, rejoicing in the fact that Javed would now settle down, have a family, and lead a life that is normal from here on out. The time came for Javed to choose a bride. He picked a woman from a local family, whose name shall be withheld. But this is where things begin to get dark. This was the sister of one of Javed's victims, who he repeatedly abused and sodomized over the years. His father died sometime around 1993, leaving him a large sum of money, 3 million rupees. Using this money, Javed opened up several other businesses, one being a gaming arcade that was loved by everyone. What many were not aware of is the fact that Javed would use his arcade to lure and rape children. He had a plan that he had perfected. He would drop some cash near to where a group of children were standing and wait until he saw one of them pick up the money. It was at this point that he would line them all up and tell them that somebody had stolen from him. When he got to the child with the money, he would tell the rest to get out and go home. Then he would take the child in the back, telling him that he would only educate him on theft. Upon entering the back room, it was there that Javed would molest and sodomize the child, occasionally letting them keep the money if he felt guilty. One of the other ways that Javed would meet children was to contact them through a pen pal scheme in a magazine. After several letters had been exchanged, he would ask for pictures. If he liked the look of one of the children, he would shower them with gifts until they agreed to meet him, and then he would rape them. In September of 1998, Javed and a co-worker were attacked late one night whilst closing the arcade. Now there are conflicting reasons as to why this attack took place. I'll let you decide for yourself. One reason given was that one of Javed's employees found out about what he was doing and spoken to him about it, leading to an altercation. The other reason was just a robbery. One of Javed's employees were also attacked as they were on the premises at the time. This was a man named Arbab. As a result of the attack, Javed was hospitalized for 22 days. But when he awoke, he was arrested for committing sodomy. Arbab and his family had filed a complaint against Javed. He was held in custody for a short time. Whilst there, it is claimed that he was subjected to severe abuse from the prison staff, and when his mother saw him, she cried. This is where he made the promise to himself that he would take the lives of 100 children and make 100 mothers cry to get his retribution. After a short period of time, he was granted bail and returned to his luxurious home, where he realized that it had been sold along with his businesses and cars to pay for his hospital treatment and care. He was now broke and had nowhere to go. With this, he headed to Lahore slums and rented a small apartment. In May 1999, children of the Lahore slums started to go missing. It soon became the talk of the town, and parents started being more cautious with their children and would not let them outside, restricting them to their respective floors in their buildings. Anyone suspicious was reported to the police, but still, children were going missing. This continued for 8 months until December 1999, when the police received a letter claiming that the writer had taken the lives of 100 children, that he had strangled them, cut them into pieces, and placed them in containers of hydrochloric acid and dumped the remains into a nearby river. Javed also sent a letter to his local newspaper with similar details, but this letter had something extra: full directions to his home where all of these actions had taken place. Upon entering the property, the police noticed that there were papers stuck to the walls that had the details of all of the children's names, where they were met, and their physical descriptions. Making their way into a back room, the police discovered that there were vat containers with hydrochloric acid and the remains of children still inside. Attached to the containers were notes saying, "I left these here just so you could find them." There were several bags of children's clothes laying around these rooms. After this, Pakistan's police force led one of their history's biggest manhunts to capture Javed, who managed to avoid being captured for almost 1 month. He knew what the police would do to him once they found him, so he handed himself in, but not to the police, to the local news office instead. Whilst there, he gave a short interview, telling the news reporter some very cold and disturbing things. He told them that he hated this world and that he was not remorseful for a single action that he had committed. He said that,
"I killed 100 boys. If I wanted to, I could have killed 500. Money was not a problem. Hiding was not a problem. I just didn't want to break my promise."
He gave them a diary that had countless pictures and 32 pages of detailed information about the sexual abuse, murders, and disposal of each child. During the police investigation, it became apparent that there were also 3 teenage boys living at the Lahore slums apartment. It was deemed that they were Javed's accomplices, who were also arrested. Their ages were 13, 15, and 17. During his trial, Javed claimed that a group of his friends were the ones that actually murdered the children, and he only sent the letter and admitted to the crimes because he felt guilty that he never did anything to save them. He was found guilty of all of his crimes and sentenced in accordance to Qisas under Islamic Sharia law. For those who are not familiar with the Sharia law Qisas, it translates to an eye for an eye. The judge ruled that Javed should be strangled to death, cut into 100 pieces for each of his victims, then placed into acid and poured into the river, just like his victims. On the 8th of October 2001, the guards in the prison where Javed was being kept were making their rounds and discovered that he and his cellmate Ajit Ahmed, one of the 3 boys arrested, were dead in their cell. It was claimed that they had hung themselves during the early hours of the morning at around 2 a.m. Here is the interesting part. It was said that they had hung themselves, but they were found in their beds, covered up. Their autopsies shown that they had both been severely beaten within the last few days. They had marks of being struck with a blunt object around the head and neck. So, was this suicide? Or was this murder? Either way, the world is a better place without these men in it. Thank you for listening to The Beast of Pakistan, and remember to stay safe. If anything has happened to you or somebody that you know in your country or your city and you would like me to cover it, please feel free to contact me.